All right, so here's a little tutorial about some graphs on the Oregon Center for Public Policy's website. And just want to give this a tiny introduction before we look at these. The basic idea in trickle-down economics is if you let an economy grow rapidly, um, you will find the income will spread out and will trickle down to almost everybody. So economic growth is the key. If you can get that growth, the rest will take care of itself. The rising tide will lift all boats. That kind of idea. So Oregon is an interesting test case for this notion. And so let's take a look at what we can see about this. These graphs were done about half a decade ago. I wish they would update them a little more. One of them was updated in 2017, but the story remains true today as well. I have seen bits and pieces of this story. So what I'm showing you conceptually is still applicable. So let's have a look here. This is our first one. And on this, you want to look at numbers. Let's see what numbers were they. Let me check again. I was looking at my own little notes here. So let's see, 1, 2, and 7. Okay. So on numbers 1, 2, and 7, let's have a peek at this. All right. So this is our first graph. And hey, nice looking growth curve, right? Just kind of putting together $100 equals the origin point. By 2012, 15 years later, we had an economy, a gross state product in billions of 187 billion. Okay, so we got growth. All right, fair enough. Growth. So now look at graph 2. So not only did we have growth, but how do we do compare with the United States overall? Not bad, huh? In fact, we outgrew the United States tremendously. Not even close, hands down. Wow, pretty cool. Okay, 2001 to 2012. And I didn't actually put in there to look at this one, but since I got you with me, let's look. So this is, again, that same period, 2001 to 2012. And how did Oregon's economy do relative to each individual state? Turns out that the only economy that outdid us was North Dakota's, and that was in an oil patch when the oil industry boomed in that area with some new technologies, oil and gas. So we did not grow them, but otherwise we were not even close. So nobody else even came close to us. So we were kind of lucky. I was living in Oregon at the time, still am. And it's funny, during that time period, I didn't really realize that we were so far out ahead of really pretty much every other state other than one that had a fossil fuel boom. And by the way, those booms are rarely sustainable. And North Dakota's economy did crash when prices fell sometime after that, and now it's bounced back again. So those are cyclical. Anyways, okay, so that's one. Now, on a per person basis, you might say, well, yeah, okay, it's growth. Maybe just everybody moved to Oregon, so the economy would grow faster because there's more people. So the way to kind of control for that is to look at the per capita or per person basis, and still, same story. We boomed. Wow. So inflation adjusted per capita gross state product. Again, neat story. So trickle down then. This looks like well, we got the growth. So if growth leads to a rising tide for all boats, let's see how that all plays out. And so what I'm going to do is go to the next one to see that. So here we are. And so we're going to look at let's look at graph 2. So our top income soared, so that helped our overall and per capita growth rates. Remember, per capita is just the total revenue divided by the number of people. That's per capita, but this was looking at just the 1%, the ones who did the best overall in terms of getting more income. And as you can see, they did rather well. How did the median look, which is the middle person in the pile? So if you take all the wage earners, you look at the one right in the middle. Yeah, nothing, right? These are, by the way, inflation adjusted. Okay. Okay. So how is trickle down looking there? Didn't see anything trickle down. It seems to be kind of sticking up top. Okay, and especially it was the top tenth of 1%, as that graph gives us information. But nonetheless, let's go down a little more. Big gains at the top, and then the middle, 1.5 for those folks, 160,000 for those, and 900 for everybody else, inflation adjusted. 2009 to 2015. I'm not sure why they chose those years, but I think it's because we started at the bottom of the recession and went to 2015 as things continued to grow. So, okay, a little trickle down maybe. All right. Here's an interesting one, kind of bends your mind a little bit. If our inequality had stayed at what it was like in the 1980 level, the typical Oregonian or the median income Oregonian would be making almost 3 times as much as they actually did. So in other words, inequality grew, and that really meant that these folks' incomes grew, but not for the other folks. Okay. Another way of looking at the same thing. Okay. Mainly to the top there on that. All right. So then that kind of looks at the difference in earnings of the bottom 50% and the top 1%. From that, it's hard to surmise exactly what the distribution was. But this one, though, remember, this is the last one on the graph that or the charts we're supposed to look at. Highest earning Oregonians capture income share from rest of Oregonians. Yikes, huh? This was, by the way, a longer time frame, 1980 to 2015. This, no matter how you want to cut it, if you take that long time frame, the income at the top did not result in trickle down. Some people will call it trickle up. That's probably simplistic to say that. I'm not really comfortable saying it, though probably in some ways it did sort of play out that way. So that's a pretty devastating graph for our working people. All right. So hopefully this helps. Okay. Testing trickle down theory. Evidence for it in Oregon? Don't see it there.